Hey guys, Roman Super Sai here, back again with an episode of Clash Royale, Clash Reloaded. This time I am doing my own revision of the Golem deck, what I find to be way more efficient in my particular playstyle. I'm not saying that the other one was bad at all, it's just it didn't really suit the way I like to play. I like to play offensive while still having some defensive power. The deck before, which was a Golem, a Rocket, a Wizard, a Witch, Barbarians, Bomber, Archer, or Arrows, and then Spear Goblins. I had changed out the Arrows, the Bomber, the Wizard, and the Rocket for these other four cards, which are the Freeze, the Tesla, the Mirror, and the Elixir Collector. Now, the reason why I did this is obviously I want the Tesla for defensive power. I want the Freeze for either defensive power so I can freeze the enemy units, or freeze theirs so I can push heavy without being completely annihilated. And the Mirror is kind of there because I can duplicate units, so if need be, say for instance, before I had the Wizard as well as the Witch, now I can just double up on Witches. And then I have the Elixir Collector for more efficiency with my Elixir output, how much I use and then how much I gain. So that kind of works well with the Golem as well, since the Golem's a high elixir cost card. It's at 8 elixir. It's one of the highest. I think it's the second highest, I believe. I'm not completely sure, but I think the Three Musketeers is the only one that's higher than it. But yeah, so it's definitely it definitely has proven to be quite good. I'm currently sitting at 1970 trophies. I am on the brink of hitting 2,000 and unlocking Arena 7. I'll probably make a video of that, grinding to that as well. But then we'll have the recordings here, not the recordings, but the replays we have here for you guys to check out how it worked for me with this particular deck. You can see here, I already have like 4 victories in a row, 5 in a row actually, with this particular deck. I do lose. There are times where I lose, so like we're defeat. But I mean, in general, like I said, it's more positive than it is negative. I'm more moving forward than backtracking in terms of my win to loss ratio. But let's go ahead and get into just a couple of these matches here. I don't know any particular ones that I felt was really close, but let's go ahead and just watch this one right here. Alright, so we're in Workshop here, Arena 6. Alright, so we just start off with our Elixir Collector. I generally try to start with that if I can. And I always say good luck because I'm superstitious when it comes to this game. If I don't say it, I tend to lose. So I always say good luck now. So he put down the Elixir Collector. He has the Witch. I'm not too overly worried about that. So I'm just going to lay down the Spear Goblins to kind of just fend it off. I'm not going to expend too much to take it out. We are at full Elixir, so I'm going to throw down the Tesla Tower here. Just to kind of take out the Witch, to finalize that. And now we're starting to rack up our 10 elixir again. So now we're probably going to throw down the Golem. We're going to send him all the way back because we want to be able to build up our elixir to help assist him later on. We don't want to just throw him at the center of the lane and then him getting hit already before we can even have enough elixir to assist him. Now he does have a Goblin Hut on the right side. That is a nuisance, but I'm ignoring it for now. I want to have this heavy push on the left side. So I have the Witches down. I have the Golem pushing down. I'm going to go ahead and probably freeze. So there we go. We froze all 3. He threw down the Minion Horde. So we're going to go ahead and try to take that out. So here we go. We're pushing pretty heavy here. The good thing about the Golem is that when he dies, he breaks apart into 2 more things. 2 more Golems, smaller versions of them, which also can tank, and the push just really goes in our favor. The Golem is by far one of the hardest units to take out, just because of the simple fact that he can split when he dies, making him just that much more annoying. Now, we do have a heavy push on our right side, so I'm throwing down the Tesla to take out the Musketeer because she would have done a lot of damage to my tower. Now we're going to go ahead and probably throw down a Golem, I believe. Oh no, we're throwing another Witch. The Witch would take out the Giant, that makes sense. He throws out the skeletons, or she throws out the skeletons, and then also can do some pretty nice damage. I do throw out the Barbarians, even though the Witch is there. I wanted to throw down the Barbarians to take her out because she's going to just poke and be a nuisance, and I'd rather have her be taken out rather than me take damage on my tower. Now we do have Elixir here, so we're going to throw down the Golem. We're going for another heavy push. We have our freeze ready. We're just sitting back trying to decide what we want to do here. We have the witch, we have the spear goblins, and the golem pushing as hard as we can. I did freeze. I tend to like to watch them drop their units. So if I have a golem, I know they're going to drop a mass unit, so like a skeleton army or a minion horde, or you know, something that can do a lot of damage over time. And so I wait for that, and then I freeze. And what that does is that just allows my witches to sit back and just annihilate them. So I have 3 witches right now because of that mirror. And obviously because of the boost in elixir here coming as well. But yeah, so we don't get the crown tower, but we definitely take the victory. 2 towers down opposed to none. We did take like half damage on our right, but it was well worth the sacrifice, focusing all my forces into one side and kind of ignoring the one on the right side. But not too shabby. So that's pretty good. Alright, so what are the other ones we have here? So we watched this one right here. Let's watch the one where we actually took one of my towers. This one was actually a little bit annoying. I think this is the one where he actually took out my left side early on, and I just did not fight correctly. I just wasn't in it in this match for the first beginning of it. And then I started getting my stuff together, and I started to push pretty heavy. So I threw down the elixir collector. This is where I kind of expended way too much. So I put down an elixir collector here. I threw down the other elixir collector. No, okay, I did. See, this is where I expended way too much. I put too much into that, and now he can push pretty heavy here. I believe this is the match. I'm not exactly sure, but we are banking on the fact that we do have all this elixir collectors going. So we're throwing down the witch to fight off the horde here. So we have the spear goblins just wailing on our tower, as well as some barbarians just holding it out so that they can do their damage. And we're gonna go ahead and throw down another elixir collector. So here we are. We're really expending way too much here on elixir collectors, but fortunately it does look like it is working out for me. I guess this may be a different match. I don't know. But yeah, so we are holding out though. Normally though, that would be really dangerous because of the elixir cost of those. He can hit pretty heavy on one side, and I can't do anything about it because I would be using all my elixir on making the elixir collectors. So the risk was there. Luckily, I got lucky. Yeah, it's awesome. So we have the golem here tanking like a boss. We have the double witches now going down. We're taking out the baby dragon there. The golem. Which does go down, and then the second goes down. So we did a lot of damage here, but his push on the left side is actually pretty nasty right now. That prince is doing pretty heavy damage to that left tower. We're at full elixir, so we want to drop something. So we drop the golem. We're going for another push, while the left side's being slightly addressed here, but now they're gone. We're going to drop the witch, take out the groups here if we can. And then we're probably going to have to freeze. There we go, because the prince is just going to wreck face, and so I needed time to lay down my Tesla, so I needed to freeze so that they didn't do too much damage on my left tower. So we did take out their right tower with that golem single-handedly. I don't think he had any assistance. He was so focused on the left side that he just could not do anything about the right side. But now my right side looks like it's looking pretty grim. I might freeze, there we go, but it's too late. They already got as much damage as possible to get that tower down. But I do have the golem, and he's wailing on that tower, and we take it out and take the win. So it was actually a pretty good game. He did fight pretty hard, but we actually took it out. Took out the second tower at the end of the match, which was freaking amazing. Alright, let's see if we can get a good one here. So, the other one must be this one right here. This is where I probably didn't do so hot in the beginning. Maybe. Maybe I'm just thinking completely of some other match, but I've been using this deck a lot, and it definitely seems to be proving to be the one to use for me to get into 2000 Arena 7. But yeah, so here we go. He's throwing down a giant, it looks like. We're going to be probably throwing down an elixir collector since we have it on hand. We want to just throw it down immediately. I'll let it start collecting elixir as soon as possible. So there we go, we threw it down. We're going to throw down the witch more than likely to combat this giant. I generally throw the witch down when I see a giant. And then if need be, I throw spear goblins to help assist. But here is my mistake again. I'm throwing down another elixir when I know I see this wave coming at me. So he has the hog rider, the giant, the wizard, and an archer, and a freeze. And this tower goes down like nothing. So there we go. My first tower's down. I'm stressing now. I'm like, what the heck? So this was the match I was talking about, guys. So not only that, but then he does tons of damage on my elixir collector. I expended all that elixir to put down the elixir collector, and he does like half the health of it. Ugh. And then he fireballs my barbarian, so it's not looking good. But at this point, I'm like, alright, he's kind of like drawn back now. Let's go ahead and try to be efficient with our elixir. So we're throwing down another elixir collector. We're throwing down a Tesla. Sometimes you want to plan your mirror accordingly too. If you can plan appropriately, you can double up on certain minions if you line it up just right. A lot of times people like to just throw down whatever the mirror has on hand, and that's not necessarily the best way to go about it, but let's see what we do here. So we have the golem pressing on, the wizard and the knight are pushing as hard as they can to take it out, but I have the witch down, and then I have a freeze. So here's where like it gets pretty nasty for him because one, he missed the fireball, so that's not good. Two, my golem, even though he's dying, he splits up, so there's still two tanks there. And then the Tesla and another freeze. So that's where I said the mirror is definitely a great item if you plan accordingly. So I planned for a double freeze. Basically, I planned, instead of going heavy troops, I planned to just completely annihilate any kind of offensive power to prevent my push. So that's what I did with the mirror there. I doubled up on the freeze. A lot of times people just like to push for double troops. Sometimes you can double up on spells and be just effective, if not more. So here we go, another push on the left side. I'm pushing heavy, I'm looking pretty good, and the golem is just pressing on. The freeze was premature, I don't know what I was doing there, but hey, it's okay, it worked out in the end. So we're pressing on. The wizard goes down as well, and this is pretty much looking pretty grim here. They're not going to be able to do much here. They have a Tesla, but the Tesla's going to go down here momentarily. There we go. We're just pushing hard now. At this point, I know he can't fight it off. It's just way too much. So I froze the tower as well as the crown tower and its game. So there we go. Pretty nasty. The whole point of these particular pushes, or not pushes, but this golem deck is for the push. So the biggest thing is we know the golems are pretty tanky, especially when he's level 4. He has freaking 4,000 health, opposed to a giant who has 3,200 at level 5. And not just that, but then the golem splits into 2 more after the fact. So when he splits, that's additional health on top of the 4,000, I believe. This may be the total health, but I'm assuming the total health is 4,000, and then the additional health of those separate minions. But yeah, overall he's a tanky beast, and his damage, even though it doesn't seem to be as high as you would like, it does plenty damage, especially when he starts to do the death explosion. But yeah, so what you do is you basically, as shown, I generally try to get efficient with elixir, with the elixir collector if I can. I love it when I start off with one because I can lay at least one down and still fend off any kind of aggression. I generally try not to throw down 2 after this match. I kind of started to think like, hey, maybe I should stop throwing down double elixirs at the beginning of the game. It doesn't seem to be always proving to be the best option. But yeah, so you throw down the golem after you've gotten your elixir efficiency going with the elixir collectors. Then you back it up with a witch. You want to keep your freeze on hand if you can, because what you do is you basically just freeze. You wait for your golem and your witch to get to the tower. He's going to drop something. Generally a horde of some sort, or maybe just something that he feels that can really take out the golem. That's when you freeze. When he starts dumping elixir to take out your golem and your witch, you freeze everything he just dumped out. And what that does is allows your witch, and also or allows your witch to take out the troops, and also allows you time to build more elixir to potentially throw another witch, or maybe some spirit goblins or some barbarians, or to potentially address maybe some aggression on the other side of your base. Just stuff like that. So the freeze is an amazing spell. It basically it allows you to do so many things outside of just freezing a unit. There's more elements involved there than just freezing units. It's also building elixir, having a heavier push, or just like, for instance, if he throws on like an X-bow, I could potentially freeze the X-bow for maybe like it has like a slight little duration. I could freeze it for that last bit of duration and have it die out before you can even do any more damage. Stuff like that. The freeze is just a very, very versatile spell that is just basically the bread and butter of this build, of this deck. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode of my revised Golem deck, or I should say Rumbly's Golem deck. And I will see you guys next time. Later.